Billionaire Adrian Hale had built an empire out of nothing but stubbornness, sleepless nights, and a relentless refusal to quit. People called him the Steel King because of the global construction empire he controlled, but at home, inside his silent 24-room mansion perched above the glittering coastline, he felt anything but a king. What good was power when the one thing he couldn't control, his own children, kept slipping out of his hands? The Quadruplets, Noah, Nia, Nolan, and Nadine, were 8 years old, sharp-eyed, brilliant, and absolutely impossible to manage. It wasn't entirely their fault, but the world didn't see the soft reasons behind their behavior. All they saw was that the richest man in the city couldn't keep a nanny for more than 2 weeks. Some left crying. Some left shouting. Some left without even collecting their final paycheck. The children had lost their mother only a year ago. Clara Hale, the only woman Adrian ever loved, had died suddenly, leaving the mansion heavy with the silence of grief. Adrian had tried everything: therapy, tutors, new routines, expensive childcare specialists from around the world, but the kids rejected every adult who stepped into their world. They hid from them, tricked them, pranked them, or simply ignored them until the exhausted caregivers stormed out. Now, after the 15th nanny walked away, swearing she'd rather face a lion than those 4 tiny demons, even Adrian began to doubt himself. "It's not them," he whispered late one night, staring at Clara's photo framed on the mantel. "It's me. I can't be both father and mother. I can't be enough." But still, he had to try. He had to be someone the children could rely on, yet the empire demanded him too. There were board meetings, investors, contracts worth billions. Every hour he was pulled away felt like another thread snapping between him and his kids. So when his head of staff timidly informed him that one last candidate had appeared for the nannying job, Adrian didn't bother hoping. Hope was a luxury he no longer trusted. "She's not a nanny, sir," the butler had said. "She applied for the maid's position. But she asked if she could meet the children." "A maid?" Adrian frowned. "Why would a maid want to meet them?" "I don't know, sir. But she insisted she's good with kids." Adrian rubbed his forehead. "Fine. Bring her in. But I'm not expecting miracles." The new maid arrived the next morning, late by 20 minutes and looking slightly breathless, as though she had run most of the way. Her name was Elara Dawson, a petite woman with dark hair swept into a loose braid, simple clothes, and eyes that held a softness Adrian wasn't used to seeing in job applicants. Most nannies came with glowing resumes. She had none. Most came dressed like they were meeting royalty. She wore a faded blouse and clean but worn shoes. Most came with rehearsed smiles. Her smile was uncertain, but warm. Adrian found himself noticing the way she held her hands, calmly, patiently, as though waiting for life to show her something good again. "You understand this job is not nannying," he said carefully when she stepped into his office. "It's housekeeping." "Yes, sir," she said. "But your butler told me the children haven't had stability. I used to help with kids before. I could try." "You want to?" Adrian asked in disbelief. "Yes," she said simply. "Children who act out usually need something they're not getting. And sometimes, all they need is someone who sees them." Adrian blinked. "You think you can handle 4?" She offered a small smile. "I don't know. But I can try to understand them." No one had said that before. Try to understand them. Everyone else tried to control them. Against all logic, something in Adrian softened. He didn't trust easily, he barely trusted himself, but he nodded. "You can start today." He expected her to run within hours. He expected disaster. He expected to add her name to the long list of people who quit. But instead, something entirely different happened. The mansion was always immaculate, thanks to the staff, but it felt empty. Elara noticed it in the way the rooms echoed. In the way toys lay untouched on shelves. In the way family photos looked like strangers frozen in time. She wasn't afraid of the quadruplets, not yet. She had seen children with much deeper wounds in her own troubled childhood. She carried those memories like quiet shadows behind her eyes. When she first approached the playroom, she heard whispers, quick, coordinated whispers, like a small army planning an attack. Another one? She won't last. Bet she cries before dinner. What if we scare her now? Elara paused at the door, pretending not to hear, then knocked gently. No one answered. She opened the door. Instant chaos, flying cushions, overturned boxes, scattered toys. But the children themselves were unexpectedly still, lined up like four suspicious little warriors. Noah, the eldest by 3 minutes, narrowed his eyes. Nia lifted her chin defiantly. Nolan folded his arms. Nadine tapped her foot. You're the new maid? Noah asked. Yes, Elara said. I'm Elara. You'll quit, Nia said confidently. Probably, Nolan added. We're too much, Nadine finished. Elara tilted her head. Who told you that? The children exchanged glances. Nia shrugged. Everyone. Elara stepped further inside, ignoring the mess. Well, I don't know everyone. I only know you four. And I haven't decided anything yet. The children weren't used to that answer. Adults always came with rules, warnings, or forced smiles. Elara didn't. She lowered herself to the floor and began quietly picking up fallen markers. Not hurried, not frustrated, not overly cheerful, just calm, like she was simply cleaning the room, nothing more. Why aren't you yelling? Noah asked. I only yell when I'm scared, she said lightly. And you're not scared of us? Nia challenged. Elara met her gaze. Should I be? The quadruplets didn't know how to respond. Elara continued cleaning, humming softly, the tune old and soothing. Slowly, the tense energy of the room shifted. But just as she placed the last coloring book on the shelf, a loud crack echoed through the room. A rubber snake snapped out from behind a toy box, one of the quadruplets' pranks, rigged with a spring. It shot straight toward her face. Adrian, watching everything from the hallway camera screen, winced. He had forgotten that trap existed. The last nanny had screamed so loudly the guards came running. But Elara? She didn't scream. She didn't even flinch. She simply caught the rubber snake mid-air like she'd been expecting it. The quadruplets froze. Then she inspected the toy thoughtfully. Good mechanism. Who made it? The children stared at her. You're not mad? Nolan asked in disbelief. No, she said gently. But if you want to scare me, you'll have to try harder next time. Adrian's jaw literally dropped as he watched the screen. No one, had ever responded to the children like that. Within minutes, the quadruplets were gathered around Elara, excitedly explaining how they built the prank, competing for her approval, and showing off their inventions. Adrian leaned closer to the screen, his heartbeat strangely unsteady. This maid, this calm, soft-spoken woman, had done something impossible. She had made his children smile. Elara finished cleaning the room, but instead of leaving, she sat cross-legged on the floor and listened as the kids explained each of their prank traps, the bucket over the door, the marbles under the rug, the fake spider system, the voice-activated whoopee cushion. You know, she said thoughtfully, these are actually good ideas. Good engineering. Good teamwork. But what if we made something that doesn't scare people away? What else would we make? Nadine asked, puzzled. Elara gestured to the shelves stacked with untouched art supplies. What about something fun for yourselves? Something happy? The children fell silent. Happiness felt like a distant country. Joy had been something they shared with their mother, and after she was gone,